What's up, everybody? I'm just adjusting here. I have not done my live stream for the past couple weeks. Been going through several different upgrades here on the Snyder homestead. The lighting is just pretty crazy that way. This might be a little better. Now let's just see if my mic will come all the way over. All right. Now let's just see if it's the classic. Hey, still working. Okay. What's good? So, today I had some cool stuff I wanted to share. I'm going to drink some water quick first. Mitchell told me to use these headphones, but I can hardly hear myself speak. So, this is going to be interesting. All right, everybody. I want to share a little bit about what I'm up to over here on the Snyder homestead, why that's relevant to you, and the vision of what we want to create today. We have the biggest garden in production yet. This is year 6 in the garden. And we have so many tomato plants and pepper plants. They're producing already. We've got a lot of cucumber plants. I'm not going to sit here list off everything, but we have a lot going on in our garden, and we're doing a lot of canning this year and preserving. Because we see with the garden, it's mainly vegetables and herbs, right? Within that, if we can get enough to preserve enough for our family for a year, plus more for community, just to show by example what it takes. What does it actually take to fuel your family for a year? It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of effort, even just for the vegetables and herbs. Okay. But as we perfect that process, we can share and support other people to do the same. Because how much more resilient is the world if everybody knows how to grow their own food? Infinitely more resilient, right? Even if your specialty is just a couple varieties and somebody else focuses on something else, that's also the power of community, right? So then another thing we've been doing year after year on our property here is building out our food forest and perennial production of food. So within that, we've got a pretty big list of stuff growing here already. I'd say we have definitely over 50 plants and well over 25 varieties. I love the food forest. It is so amazing. Okay, after you get something established, it just does its thing year after year after year. And what I really like about that is I'm not having to start seeds every year. I'm not having to baby it with water. I can kind of just walk away from that. So if anybody has land, I would highly suggest looking at food forests, because that is a really good way to create security food-wise. Is to grow things that come back every year and establish themselves really productively. And it's a lot less hands-on than it is with a vegetable/herb garden. Now, a lot of herbs, though, you can grow perennially, which is really nice. So this live, I'm trying to figure out how to make everything we're doing here very engaging for the average person. Let's see. I'll just share a little more high-end vision instead of detailed lists of everything. So our vision here is this is we have a 10-acre property. And our vision with this 10-acre property is to create a prototype property where we're figuring out what it takes to provide for our family's food, yes, but also what it looks like to grow in abundance through food forest, the vegetable garden, through raising cattle and, well, dairy cows that in turn have calves that we raise for meat, and sheep, not sheep, chickens. Aristotle, I'm saying sheep because my son Aristotle has been selling me on getting sheep, and I keep telling him, "This property is a little too small for that," but I'm open to it. I'm open to it in our next property. We're also building out a forest, kinda like a forestry school, where we're putting in permanent paths and some dead hedges and a really cool glamping site and like an outdoor backwoods kitchen, outdoor backwoods bathroom, gazebo, whole setup out in our woods area so that people can really get immersed in the woods and what it looks like when you're, say, going out and creating different situations where you could survive out in the woods, right? Like the basic fundamentals, like even building a fire. I know so many people who have no idea how to build a fire. And so creating almost like a forestry school, if you will, for people of all ages to come. We could do different workshops back there and just to explore. I grew up with woods. I loved playing in the woods growing up. That was my go-to space. Okay. We had black raspberries growing, we had grapes growing, we built forts. My dad always maintained the paths through our woods. It was amazing. But I learned so many cool things, like how to build a shelter for myself and build fires and all these things. And I want to create that for people because that's just basic survival skills, right? And kids should know these things. They should be exposed to these things from a young age. And really with our property here, what I see it is creating an understanding of the fundamentals about how physical reality works here in this space so that kids and adults can come and be immersed in how the physical reality works here and that can take you into your life elsewhere. And I heard this really cool story from uh Robin Greenfield the other day where he was saying, when I would go down, driving down the road, I would always see these billboards and I would get impulsed with getting McDonald's cones and this and that and whatever else was on the billboard. But when he started learning about the plants and the wildlife around him, he stopped paying so much attention to the billboards and he started seeing mullein on the side of the road and this and that and all these different things that he could identify and see the abundance around him. And that's really cool when you can have a relationship with the land around you where you understand what is here. How can we be in relation with it? How can it be supportive for us as human beings and for the wildlife around us? And, what is invasive and what needs a little more of human intervention to be supported effectively. And so I see clearly how us really building out this property for everyone to get immersed in even a small scale, what it looks like to work with the land and not try and cookie cutter curate it to look like something you've been programmed to make it look like. For example, that like classic American lawn. If you know, you know about that classic American lawn. Okay, we're not about that life here. We've been reestablishing so many native spaces on our property. We have so many species of bugs that have returned to our property. It's amazing. Like we never used to even see fireflies. We never used to see different varieties of spiders that are here, monarchs, like all these different species of bugs even are all reestablishing themselves since we've moved in, which is really cool. Like, it took us 4 years to see our first frog, which is absolutely crazy. And now we hear toads quite often. I've already seen a couple frogs this year, so I'm excited. We're gonna build out a wildlife pond soon. Very excited about that. Continue to cultivate the natural fly predators because we've brought on some cows on our property and we've had an influx of flies for sure. So, doing different things to maintain the fly population has been good. And I see hosting more and more events here, right? Where we're going to put in an apiary. They can go learn about bees and what it takes to have your own honey. And they could go stay in our glamping site. We're going to create a creation space out of our shed where there's going to be pottery and woodworking and metalworks and sewing and 3D printing and all these different things that people can go work with their hands and see what it's like to create things, cool things that we can use. You don't have to just opt out and contract out all these basic fundamental needs in our lives. Like, we can create it for ourselves and with each other. And so this property is really cool also because it's only 10 acres. So our children, if you don't know, we've got 2 kids. Aristotle, he is 3.5. He'll turn 4 at the end of September. And Xander is almost 2. At the end of this month, he'll be 2. And it's a perfect size property for them while they're so little, right? And then as they get older, we want to get more and more land that they can help us manage on a larger scale so that we can create the understanding of what it takes to feed more of our community instead of just ourselves. Like, this 10 acres is a great amount for what it looks like to feed yourselves. And then we're going to have host events and educate people how to do that. And then we'll scale to show what it takes to feed more on a community level. And what are the systems in place where you're working with the land to create abundance instead of manicuring and forcing the land to fit the human's desire, but to actually work with it so that you're co-creating and only creating more, not only more abundance, but creating more life, like life in the soil, the organic matter in the soil and organisms in the soil. Like, there should only be more the more we work with the land, not less. And there should only be more abundance in the overall land around you as you work with it and unite with it. And so looking at what that looks like, it's going to be perfect for when our kids, are teenagers and they have all this physical energy and drive and they want to go play with things and test things. And they're going to be so hyper intelligent. Our 3-year-old is already reading. Recently, he started doing basic math facts. Like, 3 years old. He's going to have devoured so many books by the time he's a teenager. He's just going to want the space to create and to test things and see what works. And so I'm excited to create that space for them and to have other teenagers in the community and other members of the community come and test out like what works on a larger scale on that next property. And we also love hosting retreats and camps. So I'm looking forward to hosting more of those, between having different campsites on our property and that future glamping site, also building out our house to be more of a retreat style house. That way people can come and be immersed in it on all the scales throughout all the different properties we're going to have. And we have people all around the United States and all around the world who are also doing this. They're creating hubs of what it looks like to work with the land and to provide for you on your own familia, the family scale, and then extending that out into what it looks like to work with community members locally to do that. And so, why do we need to do this? Why do we need to do this? Let me tell you why we need to do this. Because currently we're opting out of taking responsibility for basic needs. And what that means is that you're voting with your dollar for how the basic needs are being met. And currently, basic needs are being met in a way that is not great for the world. It is only causing more destruction and more abuse. And not even everybody's basic needs are being met. So if we just continue down this path where the average person doesn't know how to meet their basic needs, they don't know how to grow their own food, they don't know how to mend their own clothes, make their own clothes, they don't know how to process their own meat, they don't know how to raise their own meat, they don't know how to milk a cow, they don't know how to create with their hands with various different materials to create the things that they need that are aligned with producing for themselves and the community around them. Like, if we continue down that path of being a very low skilled population that contracts out all those skills, then we're literally going to see this world crash. This world is going to crash because we're only going to have people who are consuming. They're not creating anything. Nothing that is actually pertaining to the livelihood of humanity. And the global corporations that are providing for those basic needs primarily are destroying this planet ruthlessly, out of profit, out of power, out of influence. And the only way to stop that isn't a revolution, isn't burning it down. That's not a real solution. Because if nobody's developed the skills to replace that, then what are you going to be left with? Even more chaos. Because what happens when somebody doesn't have their basic needs met? They go crazy. They're willing to do whatever it takes to meet their basic needs. So that's not what we want to create. We want to fundamentally be a highly skilled, highly intelligent, highly stable population that can create our own systems with each other that ultimately make the greater system that's at play obsolete. Because if we're all providing for our own basic needs, then we don't need these global corporations. We don't need them. But it takes us all individually, gradually, patiently developing ourselves so that we can become really effective, very highly skilled, and very stable to be able to handle that. And I know, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like too much. It sounds like a lot of work. Sounds like I gotta watch less Netflix. I gotta scroll on my social media less. I get it. Okay? Sounds like you can't just waste your evenings drinking and smoking your life away. Oh. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, becoming highly skilled and highly intelligent is infinitely more fulfilling than entertaining your life away. You know how I know that? I've experienced both, okay? And this is way better, infinitely better. The actual stability that you experience is the resilience, the confidence. When you have the right tools in the right community, you can have real confidence. Not confidence that's a facade, not a feeling, not something you project out, trying to attract to yourself. No. Confident in your own ability to create here in this reality based on your ability to learn and adapt and change and to physically integrate information in this physical reality. Because it's not enough to just know a lot. And it's not enough to just do a lot. We need both. We need both coming at this world strong, ASAP. We've been seeing a divide in this for so long. The academics and the blue collar Or we haven't combined the two. It's not enough just to be highly intelligent. Guess what? All those academics out there, they still need a plumber. They still need a plumber. Who's going to come fix their pipes for them? They don't know how to do it. What about those plumbers? If they're isolated in that one skill and they don't have a diverse knowledge of how to do anything else that pertains to their livelihood, then they're highly dependent as well. Like, we need to become a robust population. We're highly intelligent and we're highly physical in our ability to create. We're willing to do whatever it takes to create a new system, making the old one obsolete. Okay, our starting point has to be considering all life, considering the life around us actually for real. Otherwise, you're just going to create the same thing where we have a bunch of followers, a bunch of leaders, and people just listen and go along because they don't know any different. They don't know how to do it. It's easier if somebody else does it. So I'm here sharing how we are taking massive action and massive steps on our personal property here to be an example of, hey, let's take more responsibility. Okay, let's become highly skilled, highly intelligent, highly stable people. Let's raise highly intelligent, highly stable, highly effective, highly skilled children who can come into this world and come out swinging. Imagine, we have a very large group of children who are raised to be highly skilled, highly intelligent, and highly stable, entering the world in the next 10, 20 years. That's going to be amazing. That's exactly what the world needs right now. The world needs this now more than ever. Look at the population, the waves of kids. Oh my. The waves of kids that are graduating high school right now. Oh, let's see what I can string up here. Let's see what I can find. Okay, yeah. This is the one I wanted to show you. So I gotta share my screen here. Here we go. Ready?
Asking students to read a specific sentence and then to tell them what they've comprehended out of that sentence. And boy, the kids are struggling.
Read the ending score for me.
She wore a suit, clothes that were. Who's this for? Extraordinary, but somewhat Gertrude?
Now explain what that means.
I don't know.
She wore a sahalat of clothes that were extraordinary, whatever, bro, but somewhat gooch.
What does that mean?
She wore a lot. Wait, she wore. Bro, I don't know, bro. Can you take the card back, please?
She wore a. Oh, baby. She wore a silhouette of clothes that were. Bitch, I don't know that word. I don't even know how to read. I don't know why I did this.
She wore a silhouette of clothes that were extraordinary, but somewhat gauche.
All right, now what does that mean?
I have no idea. Like his clothes is nice or something like that.
She wore a. I don't know what this should say. I don't know what this should say. I don't know what this should say. I can't read it. Can't read it. Can't sit back.
Now let's take a look at the sentence. The sentence is she wore a silhouette.
And that's just one video here. There are so many videos out there. How do I stop sharing screen? Let's see. Like, kids are graduating high school and they cannot read. How are we leaving the state of the world if we're leading tons of high school kids? All the waves and waves of young adults, kids becoming adults who cannot read. They are not confident. They are not highly skilled. They are not highly intelligent. They are not stable. What do you think that's going to do for the world? Those kids are only able to be consumers, and they're only able to be highly controlled, highly manipulated. Okay, we can't keep doing that. We have real solutions where you and your children can become highly intelligent, highly effective people. It takes time, effort, willingness. But the tools really freaking work. Okay, we need a highly intelligent population now more than ever. We cannot have all these young adults who are functionally illiterate. Like, that's unacceptable. If you look back at history, the times where the ruling class could rule the most effectively, as far as what they were wanting to do, like control the population, that's when the population was illiterate. Is that really what we want to do? Create an illiterate population? Is that the future you want to head into? Where the average person doesn't even know how to read? They can't discern information? How are you supposed to have a democracy if nobody knows how to process information? How is that even possible? Everybody's just fueled by ideas and concepts and emotions and how things have made them feel for so long and what they've been brainwashed with since childhood. We can't run on that anymore. We individually have to become robust and resilient as a human population, not just here in the United States, all over the world. All over the world. We need to become super effective. No more depending on the ruling class, the global elite, whatever you want to call them, the largest corporations out there, the specialists, the experts, the whatever is backed socially and what's socially acceptable. It's like all of that has been your God for so long, where whatever that says, that goes in your life. Isn't it? What would you be doing without that? Say all of that went away. How long would you survive? A week? Max? The food distribution system, everything that's meeting your basic needs that you're not doing, if all those systems went away, all the points of influence and trends and experts, this and all that, if all that went away, how long would you survive? Maybe a week, maybe 2, maybe a month. Is that how long you want to live? Okay, then let's do something about it. Okay, we individually have to realize we no longer can depend on these global corporations and governments set up the way they are and the global elite doing what they're doing. All these tech companies and AI, they do not have your best interest in mind. They're wanting to essentially let this world go to shit and move to Mars, okay? They don't care that they're destroying the planet we live on. They don't care that the average person does not know how to read, is not highly intelligent. The average person does not know how to meet their basic needs. They like a highly controlled uncontrollable population, a population that doesn't know how to do any of that, so they could do it for them and profit off it and control you because of it. It's written right in front of you. And I don't care if you call me a conspiracy theorist or if you're like, man, that's so far out there. It's right in front of your face, guys. Look. The safety to development ratio in the AI industry right now is absurd. They are forcing development infinitely faster than they are implementing any safety procedures with all of this AI. It is not the average development era that's happened. Okay, it's not the industrial revolution. It's not the agricultural revolution. Okay, this is AI we're talking about. They're essentially externalizing the mind. Okay, are we going to go there on this little live stream? Where people are highly dependent on stimulation and chasing feelings and emotions and energy. And they're taking that and turning it into an AI. And they're like, yes, this is going to be the solution. This is the solution. And everyone's going to get these implants in their minds. You know, Elon Musk is saying that everyone is going to have, what are those chips called? He's got, let me show you. Neuralink. Yeah, people are already getting these Neuralinks, by the way, if you don't know what they are. Okay, let's do this. You ready for this? I don't know if you're ready for this. I'm going to wrap up here soon, but let's go through this.
If someone ultimately does get a Neuralink installed, what will take place?
So you basically take out a chunk of skull, put the Neuralink device in there that has a battery and a Bluetooth and an inductive charger. Insert the electrodes. So the electrodes are very carefully inserted, avoiding, any veins or arteries. You stitch up the hole and you just have a little scar, and that's it. And you wouldn't even know that somebody has it. It could, in principle, fix almost anything that is wrong with the brain. You could also save state. And
Save state?
Save state, like save your brain state, like a saved game in a video game.
Whoa.
And restore that state into a biological being if you wanted to in the future. In principle, there's nothing from a physics standpoint that prevents us. Now you'd be a little different, but then you're also a little different when you wake up in the morning from yesterday.
What happens if someone ultimately does?
So that didn't explain it exactly the way I wanted it to. Let's see. I'm not sure if I'm going to find the exact video I would like right now. But I've seen interviews of Elon talking about how interpersonal communication is going to be through the devices instead of vocalization. How they're no longer going to have screen for devices because you'll have it implanted and you'll just communicate with your AI through thoughts. Excuse me? Excuse me. I'm craving some pizza right now from Papa John's. Wait. Is that me? Or is that my Neuralink? You aren't thinking faster. You're becoming more dependent on the machine. We've already had access to information at our fingertips, and that has only made us more dumb. You think getting it even more accessible is going to make the population more intelligent? Think twice. There's this whole concept now called something, what is it? Cognitive surrender. Cognitive surrender is the acceptance of AI-generated answers in place of one's own reasoning. It describes a psychological phenomenon where individuals allow AI to take over the entire cognitive process, quickly adapting machine-generated outputs as their own without review, verification, or independent thought. Okay. But what else is going to happen when you get an AI chip put in your brain? What are you thinking? He wants everyone to be having these. I'm literally seeing interviews of these tech bros saying, yeah, I'm waiting to have kids till they've perfected Neuralinks, because if they don't have Neuralink from a young age, they're going to fall behind. These guys are not intelligent. These guys are completely displaced from how reality works. You know why? That's because they didn't grow up being intimately exposed to how our reality works. They did not get supported to consider all life. They did not get supported to be highly stable, highly intelligent, and highly skilled. Okay? That is why we do what we do. Because we need to raise a generation that is interconnected with the physical reality we live in, so we can live in a way that doesn't destroy it. We're no longer parasites as humanity, because humanity can change. We have proven that in our group. If you haven't joined Self-Perfected, you need to join our group. Okay, we've proven that humans can change and they can become highly intelligent, highly skilled, and highly stable if they're willing. Okay, teachability, willing to change and willing to learn. If you're willing, you can absolutely do it. The global elite is going to try and tell you that the average person cannot change, and that's why we have to implement as much control as we are. But it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Do not let them convince you of that. Okay, that's why we do what we do. I love doing what we do. It has been so fun. You're going to continue to see us move even faster, host even more amazing events. Our events are so fun. They are so fun. They're a blast. Okay? Our property is going to become so amazing so quickly. It already has. We are having the most fun. Self-Perfected community is having the most fun. We are spearheading the change that we need to see in the world to create new systems that consider all life, to make the current system obsolete. And that is the only real solution. If somebody tries to tell you to fight the system, burn the system, have a revolution, all you're going to do is create the same cycle over again. We've seen that historically again and again and again. That is not a real solution. That's just following your feelings. Fuck your feelings. We're done. We're done with that cycle. Hello? Obviously, following your feelings has not worked. So let's all just become highly effective individuals. Highly skilled, highly intelligent, and highly stable. Imagine that. A population of highly effective human beings actually creating systems that consider all life. That's the real solution. So join us and let's do it together. Woo! Join us, join us, join us, and have the most fun doing it. Oh my gosh, I love our community. We seriously have the most fun creating a better world together. So that's all from me today, folks. Wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing here on the property and why that relates to changing the world.